After almost 2 weeks of intense, sometimes bitter debate in the Senate, the so-called grand bargain on amnesty failed, but pro-amnesty senators vow to keep going. Dana Bash reports on the fight over amnesty and the future of so-called comprehensive immigration reform.
Tried.
Last month, bipartisan bargainers announced their immigration deal with fanfare and optimism.
It represents the best opportunity that we have in a bipartisan way to do something about this problem.
Now, standing at the same podium just a few weeks later,
yes, I am disappointed.
So how did the grand bargain turn into the great collapse? The classic Washington blame game has begun. Exasperated supporters say it was fear-mongering.
I've listened to talk show hosts drumming up the opposition by using this word amnesty over and over and over again, and essentially raising the roil of Americans to the extent that in my 15 years, I've never received more hate or more racist phone calls and threats.
But those against citizenship for illegal immigrants say their opposition was hardened by insulting statements from the president.
If you want to kill the bill, if you don't want to do what's right for America, you can pick one little aspect out of it. You can use it to frighten people.
Some Republicans and even Democrats blame Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid for trying to limit senators' ability to change the controversial bill.
I personally believe that if we had taken more time, we would have had an opportunity of reaching a conclusion.
The Democrat majority leader squandered an opportunity. We were very close, I think within a matter of days, of being able to complete this bill.
Most Democrats accuse Republicans of stall tactics.
Yeah, they kept asking for 6 more hours, for 12 more hours. It's been going on for 2 weeks. The fact is, there were some members on the Republican side that didn't want the bill.
Then there's this. Blame everyone.
I think that Democrats were wrong, but the Republicans were wronger, to use a word which doesn't exist.
Now, authors of this compromise are vowing to press on. They insist the immigration bill is not dead yet. In fact, President Bush will be here on Capitol Hill early next week to try to rally support. But the reality, Lou, is that the Senate has a jammed-packed schedule, and Democratic leadership aides say privately they just don't see immigration coming back to the Senate floor anytime soon. Lou?
Well, Dana, you report on the so-called blame game. What is there to blame? It looks like that the Senate acknowledged, at least in its vote against closure, the will of the American people.
Well, there are some people here who say that they look at the way the polling was done about this, and they say that the bottom line is the American people want the United States Congress to address immigration reform. They say that some people did not like the way this particular compromise was conducted, but they say that in the end they tried the best they could, and right now they are pretty upset about the fact that this particular bill is stalled and perhaps stalled indefinitely.
Well, it's not really so much a concern if the little darlings are upset. It's more about representing the will of the people, isn't it? It's just purely rhetorical, Dana. I appreciate it. Dana Bash from Capitol Hill. Pro-amnesty senators from both parties are reeling from the effects of the collapse of the so-called grand bargain. But given the track record of Congress, many Americans doubted the bill would be enforced even if it were to become law. Lisa Sylvester reports.
The immigration bill went down in flames. Political parties are now pointing fingers. But several senators said this week the debate comes down to one word: trust, or a lack thereof.
Frankly, I think people across this country don't really believe we're serious about making this work. They're used to a history of being overpromised and undersold when it comes to fixing our broken immigration system.
Senators from both parties say their constituents were skeptical that the Senate immigration bill would be enforced when current immigration laws on the books are not.
We look the other way when people hire illegal immigrants. And until we stop looking the other way to those businesses who are not playing by the rules, we will never effectively deal with immigration in this country.
In 1986, enforcement promises were made. Those promises ignored. More recently, Congress promised a border fence, the subject of a new ad by grassfire.org.
It certainly is a big border.
A very big border.
Last year, Congress authorized 700 miles of fence along the southern border.
Where's the fence?
But so far, just a few miles have been built.
A fence on paper really doesn't work with the American people. They want to see the fence built. They want to see this working. It's not just symbolism. They want to see something real being done.
Poll numbers reflect Congress's credibility issue. According to an ABC News Washington Post poll, only 39% of registered voters approve of the way Congress is doing its job. 53% disapprove. Another poll by Rasmussen Reports finds Americans believe used car salesmen are more trustworthy than members of Congress. Nearly every senator talks about border security and enforcement, but the public is looking for enforcement action. And many say that does not necessarily require a new bill. Lou?
Thank you very much, Lisa. Lisa Sylvester from Washington.